Hey, welcome to the show. I'm here today with Matt Scherer. Matt, how are you today?
I am just great there, Travis. It's great to speak to you today.
Absolutely. I always love when I can get to do these interviews. I usually stack them up on a single day so I can knock out two or three and then, take some time off because I got other stuff to do. But glad to see you here this morning. Bright, sunshiny day. And what the heck is it? March? Man, we're just past the middle of March. It's March 16th
It's
already. We
fourth
passed the
day
Ides of
before
March.
yesterday was the Ides of March. Tomorrow
Yep.
St. Patrick's. Tomorrow is the day that my first grandchild is scheduled to arrive. And
Ooh.
yes, we're on
Is it
pins and needles here at the Scherer house. And we also have the baby pool. I picked March 19th. My wife, the grandmother in training, has picked March 21st, and my son has picked March 22nd. And so we've all put a little money in the pool saying, this is when the baby's going to arrive. So we're excited about that. Yeah,
Yeah. I got you. Well, that's cool. It's exciting news. See if he
it is
comes on
exciting.
time and gets to share his birthday with a holiday that's not going to rob them of presents.
That's true.
Like plus or
I'm,
minus 2 weeks of Christmas, you're kind of screwed.
my son has that. My son does have that issue. He was born 2 days after Christmas, but
Yeah.
he, but
In the
we,
abyss, that time between Christmas and New Year's is the abyss. No one knows what day it is. No one knows where they're supposed to be. Nothing really happens at that time, at least in America. Uh, we're
that's
going to talk We're going to talk today about three simple things you can do to make your LinkedIn pop. Matt runs Sure Communications, and he also is a co-founder of Military Transition Roundtable. Matt, why don't you give us a little bit of background, who you are, what you do, and let us know all that fun stuff.
so the short answer is I'm a retired Air Force public affairs guy. I retired in 1997. Um, People in my time knew me as an innovator and somebody that's like kind of broke the rules from time to time. But the bottom line was I was always looking for the opportunity to help people communicate great ideas. And so got out, found I was having a little bit of issue with the transition, went back to school, got my degree in marketing, and I focused on public relations. And then about 2008, somebody said, Matt, you should look at LinkedIn. I said, oh, not another social media site. But it was more than just another social media site. And so for the last 9 to 10 years, I've been coaching people on how to use LinkedIn as a professional. And my focus has been on the military professional in transition, although I do work with high school and college students, and then of course executives. I love talking to executives. Like they have nothing in their profile. I mean, nada. And I was like, okay, so what's your purpose? And helping them to find their purpose, help them to tell their story. I love that. So regardless of who I'm talking to, I love to help people use LinkedIn for what it's meant to be used for, which is to help convey ideas and to also help people look at opportunities. When you think of LinkedIn, what's the first thing that comes to mind, Travis?
It's a place for professionals.
Most people in the military just see that, but they also see it like this: I need a job. I've got to get on LinkedIn to find the job. And so what they do is they copy and paste their resume and say, oh, now I've got a LinkedIn profile. Oh, no, you do not. You have your LinkedIn profile in steroids, maybe, but you really don't have much there. And that's the part is breaking that down to help people understand what LinkedIn's capable of doing. And LinkedIn kind of encourages that resume part because they make money off finding the professionals in all sorts of things. So if you're looking for someone who's a crisis communicator, military person, you can find me on LinkedIn. And that's the who part. But what I really help people is how do you express the what you want to do and why do you matter to people? Okay.
That's interesting. I flounder quite a bit with LinkedIn. I was late to the game, of course. I'm still in the military, so I'm early compared to most of my peers. But like social media game was big on Facebook. That's where I do most of my work. Instagram, I'm terrible at. LinkedIn, I'm finally getting a little bit of traction where people are finding me and adding me for whatever reasons. Most of my stuff on there is podcast and nonprofit related, which is fine. But I didn't realize some of the cool stuff you can do on there. Like you can search a company in your area and you can search by position. Those are things that I didn't know about. So I was trying to help a nonprofit here in Oklahoma City. And I was like, wouldn't it be cool if you did like a photo shoot with animals at the zoo? Like, how could you do that? And I was like, I don't know, but I bet you we can go on LinkedIn and we search for the zoo and we search for their public relations department and we found the person directly that's their public relations director. So it's a way to really dive in, find the person you're actually wanting to talk to instead of just sending this blank email to whatever the contact info is. Hopefully, the person that checks that email has any idea what you want or need and knows the right person to forward that to. Otherwise, you're just firing it off into the abyss and hoping that someone's going to get connected with you. And it's not really that great. But I went on there and like I looked up Asha Curran, who is the founder of Giving Tuesday. And by the time this thing is out, my interview with her, she'll be published. You can go back and check that interview. But like they brought in $2.47 billion December 1st of 2020. But I was able to find her directly on LinkedIn, send her a message and say, hey, I'd love to interview and talk to you about this. What do you think? And it took a couple of weeks, but she, emailed me back and we set up a time. But I was able to go directly to the person I wanted to talk to because of the way that LinkedIn is set up.
That's an important aspect of LinkedIn, and that's something I think people should understand is what is your purpose for being on LinkedIn. And when you look at your purpose is to list your contact points, because some of us older types, we still like email. I'm not that big a fan of email. Uh, Phone number, contact points. I think that's really important to do that. And a lot of people just put maybe their name in their LinkedIn profile. It's like that's an indicator that you're really not open to talking to people. We did a class here at 8 o'clock, and we were looking at a couple people's profiles, and it's like, you got the standard guy. He's got his picture. You might have a headline, and that's it. And one of the people it was trying to connect with was like, he hasn't responded to me in 3 weeks. I said, you know what? I can tell you right now why. First of all, has had no activity in the last 90 days. Second of all, he's not sharing and connecting. What's the likelihood of him connecting with you? Not as strong as someone who's been active on LinkedIn. So we're teaching people indicators. And military guys that are like, oh, I'm afraid. I'm afraid to get into LinkedIn, and I'm afraid to connect with people. It's like, let me help you, okay? Most people are very forthcoming and will help you. You just got to believe in yourself. So that's, as I'm going to mention in a minute, the military transition roundtable is to give people the confidence to do that. But we were going to talk about the 3 things that everybody should do to make their profile pop. Okay, number 1, have a great profile picture. Okay, I am amazed at the number of people that have a picture with their wives, a picture with their girlfriends, a picture that's out of focus, or even worse, the gray balloon. The gray balloon is like you have no picture. That's all you have is it's like, who are you? Yeah, uh-huh. Okay. So those are important. So when you are working with people, and I worked with a guy named Mike last week. Mike had one of those long classic Army profile shots. In the Army, they shoot the whole soldier picture from the top of the head to the bottom of the feet. And he used it. I was like, Mike, I can't even see it on a desktop. Imagine what it's going to look like on the mobile. It's like, I won't be able to recognize you. And it's important, to be recognized. Before COVID, you wanted to be recognized because you might be going to a conference, you might be joining that guy for a cup of coffee, and you're looking out from, oh, that's what Travis looks like. But if you've got that faraway look, how am I going to find you? Now we're talking about Zoom. If you're going to join somebody on a Zoom conference, hey, there's 5 or 6 people in a Zoom conference. I'm looking for you, Travis. What do you look like? That's why it's very, very important to have a very realistic and up-to-date photo. And I'm looking at I just looked off the side at your profile photo. It's like, yeah, I would know what you look like. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I
That's
know a lot of people in the military are kind of you know, standoffish when you talk about things like professional networking and profile photos and things, and like get a professional headshot done. It's under $100. There's tons of people that do them. And even, standing on a clear background with a friend of yours with an actual camera, or some of those newer phones are just amazing. But take a headshot. Are you going to feel awkward? Yes. Are you going to feel like the photo looks dumb? Of course you're going to feel that way, but it's not true. I hate my headshot, but so many people love it. It's like, oh, you look kind, you look approachable, you look professional. It's exactly what we're looking for. I don't feel that way. I remember how I felt taking the picture, which is not the same as how other people see you. So don't let that deter you from going out and getting a professional headshot done.
So I have two thoughts on that. So thought number one is we all have an Aunt Minnie or grandma that says, well, Matt, what do you want for Christmas? I would like a gift certificate for a photo shoot, Walmart, Pennies. That's what I would like. And that's, I'll take the money and I'll make it the purpose of using that to get a professional photo. Okay. You're right. You can get a great photo for under $100. And yes, I would recommend that whenever possible. But if you can't do that, then of course the mobile phone. But before I get to the mobile phone, I want to talk about the military guy who still thinks he's a commander or first sergeant or sergeant major. And I'm going to tell the story of my friend Mark. About a certain Air Force base. He was the wing commander at the Advanced Air Force Base back in the day, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, it's a tradition. They have that official photo, right? And if you're a wing commander or wing king at a pilot training base, you kind of want to set the tone that if they decide to drink and drive or screw up, you're going to bust their butt. And so my friend Mark had that look like this, and he had a nice picture, very approachable, kind of like yours, but it was like, Mark, he asked me what I thought. I said, Mark, ditch this photo. That was fine when you were the wing commander at Vance Air Force Base, but it's not good now. You want to be warm and approachable. People want to look you up and go, yeah, I want to talk to that guy. Now, talking about, if I might, the mobile thing, I've seen some really great photos shot with an iPhone 11, iPhone 12, or the equivalent of a Galaxy, the really strong Galaxy Android photos, from Samsung. I've seen that, right, Mark? I mean, right, Travis?
Yeah.
Right. And so what I've learned from one of my friends, Josh Solomon, because I looked at he updated his professional photo after he got out of the military, and it's like, where'd you go? Did you go to the studio? No, I had an iPhone 11 and I took another iPhone and I used it as a lighting thing and I put it against a neutral background. So that's a temporary fix, but I got to be honest with you. A professional photographer is worth the investment. The really good ones can bring the best out of you, and they're going to shoot more than one shot. They're going to shoot a whole array of shots to help you pick that one photo if they're really good at what they do.
Oh, absolutely. I know I had mine done and they came up and they came to me, set up in my garage, and we took all sorts of photos. And we got one that worked. Looks good, looks professional, looks warm and inviting. Go with it. So, number one, good, warm profile photo. What's number two?
Number two is that banner behind that profile photo. What most people don't understand is that that's like a billboard. If you're driving down I-35, I know you're on the northern part of I-35, you see the really great billboards and there's like a simple concept with one or two words. The banner works just like that. It should be simple. It should tell people what you do. It should work with your headline and with your purpose of LinkedIn profiles. So if you were to look at my profile photo today, you're going to see a lighthouse because I'm a lighthouse keeper. A friend of mine said, Matt, you are a communications lighthouse keeper. Good idea. I've used that for a couple of years. What has happened was that LinkedIn changed the rules on headlines. Used to be you could put your first name and your last name in the first name category. Then you could put a title in the last name. Well, guess what? They have slowly declared war on people that have put lighthouse keeper as their last name because it's all about the database for LinkedIn. Okay, I understand that. What's the fix? Well, the fix was I moved my title into my banner photo, and now you see Matt Scherer, your lighthouse keeper, and then I've got my call to action headline, which is below. So the banner photo, really, really important that you use that and think about it, okay? And talk to people that can help you look at ways to distinguish yourself from others. I have a couple examples if we have time. If not, I, I really, really believe in the banner photo. And it's like I sit there and go, so I talked to a young guy named Devon. Devon wants to be an ethical hacker. And so we found a nice cyber information picture. Then we put a headline in the right spot of the banner, and we changed the color. Your ethical hacker or was in white and hacker was in red. That's going to get people's attention. So
Mhm.
I would be talking to a professional designer, or and I'm not a professional designer. I know some people that are really exceptional, and but I got the basic concept of layout design. You know, when you've been laying out newspapers and winning awards for public affairs, you kind of get the concept. But you know, it's like there's a limitation of what I can do, and so sometimes I can't figure this out. So I go to my friend Bruce out of New Jersey and say, Bruce, I got this photo, or I got this idea. And Bruce will go, well, dun, 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 come back and it's like really exceptional. And Bruce created the grid. There is a grid for banner photos, and the banner photo has a grid. And if you reach out to me on after you see this, I'll be happy to share with you the grid. The grid is kind of like, remember when you used to play baseball in the streets, and there was that one lady, the crazy old lady, you never want to in her yard or her near her tree or her rose bushes, right? So the grid's like that. There's a red spot on the left where your profile photo goes in the mobile, and that's kind of like Mrs. Grace's rose bushes. You know, you hit in there, and you just didn't go there in the middle of the day to get your ball. You went late at night and you retrieved it. If she hadn't thrown it in the garbage by then, you know what I'm saying? It was just like out of bounds. And so the profile photo is the same way. It's out of bounds. You've gotta consider that. I have an example of the Air Force recruiting services 2-star general, and he's got a really great banner photo, and it says engage enlist, but when you put in the mobile site, all you see is the word enlist. It's like, oh, you're enlisting people.
Mm.
And why is that important, Travis? 65 to 70% of us are looking at our profile of somebody for the first time on their mobile device.
Yeah, and I know you helped walk me through when we had our pre-interview, and you're
Yeah,
talking about the exact same things. And so, like my banner, the nonprofit architect, standard logo, all that stuff looks great and centered on the laptop. You switch to mobile, and you can't see. It looked like fit tech, like you couldn't see anything. So, like on laptop or on desktop, your logo needs to be far to the right. It's going to look a little funny. Luckily for me, I've got a plain background. Plain black
hey,
background. I
Travis, can
had
I
to
say,
move it far to the right to test it out and talk about the grid a little bit. And then when we switched it up, it looks kind of funny on desktop, but it looks magical on mobile. And I'm so glad you talked me through that.
can we show people how you made the change real quick? Are you gonna allow me to share the screen?
You can, but no one's going to see it because we don't post the video anywhere.
Okay. Okay. But if you go to Travis D. Johnson, you'll be able to see his profile, and I love the design. I mean, we just looked at it as I knew automatically because of working with guys like my friend Bruce from New Jersey that I was able to convey your expertise really quickly and professionally. So thank you for noticing that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got the warm profile photo. We've got the banner photo with the grid missing. So your logo is going to look far right of where you would normally see it, but it looks fantastic on mobile. What do we got for number 3 for simple things that you can make a LinkedIn
Number three
profile
is
pop?
write the about summary on 4 simple steps. Okay. Number one, what's my mission? That's what my I would say that's what's my purpose. What do I do? Think about it from both the who. The who's easy. Every time you get on LinkedIn, LinkedIn's going to help you with the who, but it's the what and why. So defining the what and why in your mission. Um, then define your goal. This is how you can help me, or this is how I can help you. And then the call to action. If I can be of help to you, please contact me. If you can help me with when I'm talking to military professionals in transition, if you can help me find a job in auto racing in Europe, please contact me. And then at the bottom, put all those key skills. Now, the folks at the Transition Assistance Program and other people that coach people on LinkedIn, we have a spirited disagreement on one thing. And I disagree with people when you put baker, neater, all these key skills. Like in for my example, crisis manager, public relations, social media guy, blah, blah, blah. Okay. I will never put that in my headline because guess what? When I talk to the staffing guys, they all say to a man, I can find them just as easily at the bottom of the about section. So I always tell people put at the bottom of the about section all your key skills. Do not listen to those fine people at the transition assistance program who say you got to put those key skills so that people can find you. Well, that's okay if the only purpose of LinkedIn is to find a job, but if you're trying to help people understand what you want from them in terms of mentorship or and guidance, having all those skills is not that critical. It should be put at the bottom of the about section. So those are the parts of the about section I think most people need to work on. All that's in the book that I wrote, LinkedIn for Military, Volume 3. I I really love the book, and people have read the book said, hey, you've helped us identify the 5 key elements, right? The who, the what, the where, the when, and the why. And of course, the missing element is the how. So, like all good journalists, there's 5 elements to every story. And of course, there's lots of times when the how is a very important element. So, that's something you have to think about. And that's where you need to talk to someone and say, so, what are my goals? What's my purpose? Why do I matter to you?
I like that. It's simple, it's straightforward. And something you brought up when we looked at my profile, and I didn't realize how terrible it looked because LinkedIn helps you with suggested phrases as you're going through this. They have suggested comments, they have suggested messages to send people, which is great and well. But I just updated my profile that says I'm finishing my master's this month, and I got the exact same message from 25 people. They all use the suggested message, which is fine. It lets me know I'm loved. They were thinking about me enough to give it, 2 or 3 clicks, which is fine. But you're not going to stand out that way if you're using LinkedIn. If you're writing your profile based on the suggested words, anyone that's have any time on LinkedIn, they're going to go through there and they're going to see that you let LinkedIn help you do it, and it looks like you didn't put any effort in. So if you want to
So
stand
the
out
magic
even a
words
little
are
bit, you can
the magic
rewrite it in a couple easy steps that we just covered.
the magic words are experience. When I say the word experience is one of my favorite words. There's a couple others I can just see that, and here's what I say to people: do you want to be different? Then drop those words. And I gotta be honest with you, Travis. If I had $20 for every time I've seen those words in the last year, man, where do you want to go on your dream vacation?
My dream vacation
Yeah.
is cruise to Antarctica.
Okay. My wife would be down with that. So we could fly. You could fly down. You and my wife we'll take the boat. We'll fly down there. You and my wife can go to Antarctica. I'll stay in New Zealand, right? And hang on the beach, right? That's what we'll do with all the money we make from every time I've seen that word. Experience, seasoned. Okay. Those are old words. Use something creative. Tell your story. Okay. Again, I'd be a rich man. You and I can go to Antarctica. My wife is the big environmentalist. She would love that. Me, not so much. I'll hang in New Zealand and on the beach with your kids and my kids. Okay.
Oh, that sounds fine. I'm trying to get to all 7 continents. I've been to 4. Been to Europe, Asia, Africa, and North America. So I know that there is a cruise that runs down to Antarctica, and they go out of Argentina, I want to say. So that would be 2 more, and then to get down to Australia and New Zealand, that's going to be an expensive ticket to get over that way. But definitely all within grasp, all within reason. I've already hit all 50 states, so trying to expand my footprint across the great land.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. So you were mentioning and talking about when this is one of my favorite pet peeves about LinkedIn. Okay. Whenever I have a milestone, I go, congrats, congrats, congrats. Okay. This is what I do when people congratulate me. I look at their profile and say, hey, thanks for noticing this milestone. By the way, I noticed this about you. By the way, can you share this? And people go, oh my God, he's not just doing the auto respond. He's actually conversing with people.
Hmm.
It's an amazing thing when you think about just those simple auto connects. And it's like, okay, I appreciate people saying happy birthday. I almost have to turn my phone off on my birthday because like, bing, 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 bing. I'm glad we do that because people are noticing it, but I want people to notice with a purpose. People that really write a note instead of just congrats, happy birthday. I notice those things. Thanks for
Yeah.
sharing that experience.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the happy birthday reminder, and I same thing. I wanted to come up with something different, so I say all the best for a fantastic birthday. Got anything planned? Tell me a little bit about what you got planned. And some people just hit the like or they say thanks or whatever, but some people will come back and be like, "Hey, actually, I'm having a day with the family. It's going to be nice. I'm having fun with the kids. My best friend's in town. Thanks for asking," because it actually shows that you care more than just checking something off your daily to-do list, making sure you hit everyone with their birthday.
Harvey Mackay wrote a great book a few years ago, and he always talked about having the birthday of all the people that matter to you and calling that person on their birthday every couple days before and say, "Hey, your birthday's July the 10th. Congrats. Let's get together. Let me buy you breakfast. Let me buy you lunch. Oh, you're busy on the 10th? Well, let me find a day before." If you talk to my kids, they say, my birthday's called Daddymas, and it takes them 4 or 5 days to celebrate my birthday. But it's the idea that you're celebrating a person's birthday and you're using LinkedIn to really connect with people. I think the thing that I find with a lot of people is they really don't know how to connect, and they're afraid to do that. And my colleague Don Gleason and I, he's my co-founder of the Military Transition Roundtable. We're going to write a book about how to connect with people because we see all these people are afraid to connect with people. And it's like, it's not that hard. It's not that difficult.
Well, I mean, what are you losing? I coach people in the nonprofit space about asking for money and doing things and reaching out. And they're like, well, I just can't do that. I was like, you run a nonprofit. You can't self-fund this thing. You don't have enough money. They're like, well, yeah, I got to ask. Well, what if I get a no? Well, fun fact, everyone you don't ask is already a no. The only chance you have for yes is by actually asking.
Yeah.
The only chance you have for yes is asking. Other than that, it's 100% no. Oh, you want to do this program? Oh, you didn't apply? Well, guess what? It's a no. They just didn't say it to you.
Yeah, it's a no. Okay. That's the thing is just like, how do you connect with people? How do you find purpose in that? I think the magical thing is what we do in the Military Transition Roundtable is we help people find their purpose, and we help them define their dreams, and we help them use LinkedIn and other tools to connect with people so that they can really find the answers to possible careers.
That's fantastic. So, what does that process look like when you talk about the Military Transition Roundtable? I know you're the co-founder. That's your nonprofit. What is that all about?
So a year and a half ago, we went to one of the many transition events in San Antonio. San Antonio has a lot of events, and we were sitting there listening to one of the people we admire, Shantae Hall, and she says, "Don't do this alone." And Don and I had been talking, and then we had a conversation with a guy about a mastermind group, and that's when we had the aha moment. Let's do a mastermind group for people in transition. So, what is a mastermind group? That's based on the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And it's basically the concept that he introduced in that book where Thomas Edison, Henry Ford, other leaders of that era would get together with other executives and other people and say, "Hey, I'm having this problem. How would you fix it?" And now you've got 2 or 3 people that are weighing in on the solution. So we've taken the same concept to transition. And the transition concept is this: we take 6 to 8 people, they get together in a Zoom room, and we start talking about various aspects of transition. And lots of times we go in with what we would like to do, but when the group says we really want to talk about this, we stand back and let them discuss it, and we kind of guide the conversation. So we've helped a lot of people. So far, we've had about 50 members in our participants, and 20 of them graduated. We call them alums. They're now finding high paying jobs. I'd like to tell a story of one of them. His name is hypothetically Tom. Tom works in cybersecurity because I don't want to embarrass him, but this is what Tom learned. Okay, Tom worked in cybersecurity. He's really smart, really thought ahead. He went into the skill bridge program, right? Loved what he was doing in skill bridge, got to the end of the skill bridge, and the CEO of the company says, Tom, love you, wants you to work for it. Here's our offer, 35,000 a year. It's like, what? Well, you've already got your military retirement. Well, guess what? He brought that up in the group, and the people in the group said, Tom, no, 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 no. You're worth a lot more than that. Okay. Define what you want, and then your retirement is not part of their equation of figuring out what your salary is worth. So that's the kind of things that we talk about in the military transition roundtable. It's like having the courage to say no, because most military guys, I got to get a job. I got to get a job. Yep, you gotta do that. I get that. But here's the thing: you've got to have some thought. And I'm thinking of my friend Mike. I just talked about a couple minutes ago. Mike's in a job he absolutely detests. Okay, this is not what Mike wants to do. Mike's a leader. Mike's a former military first sergeant. He's not happy. So what do we say to Mike? Come join us. We talk to people. We kind of screen people. Uh, we avoid the Eeyores of the world. Oh my God, the world's terrible. I can't be helped. Nice knowing you. We can't have you drag down the rest of the group. We'll talk to you off group one on one, but we're not gonna put you in a group until you've you know grown a little maturity about the process.
That's very interesting. I know tons of my friends have all retired out and they're off doing different things. I bet, 35 grand, that's like 1750 an hour. That's a kick in the junk after you've done 20 years of service to go
Especially when
in.
you're
Yeah.
getting information. Well, here's a guy, here's a guy that's a serious communicator. It's like I went to his retirement. It's like, wow, he was like all guys understays. Oh, you were this and this and this, and then his commander said, yeah, and he told we had an occasional spirited discussion, but in the end, he always had my back. It's like, yeah, okay, and so he had the confidence, say, no, not taking that job. Okay, it's nice learning how what it's like to work with you, but no, I'm going to walk
Yeah.
away from this job. And then there's another guy, I will say his name is Bob. Bob was just offered a job of six figures. Like, oh my God, I wasn't expecting it. So we talk people, hey, trust me, Bob, you're well worth the money for what you're doing. Yeah. Yeah. Bob works with drones. Bob created the training program for drones for the US Army. He's worth every penny he can get. So that's what we do.
I had my buddy Tom that I got to do his retirement ceremony. Good guy, hard worker, retired as a Navy chief. And same thing, his bills dictated that he get a job right away, and he jumped right into a job working for a smaller um, aerospace company,
Yeah.
and 85,000 a year on top of his retirement, on top of his 100% disability, which is fantastic money. But he was working himself to the bone, like he was still fighting the enemy, like everything he did and everything he had to do. And he was talking to me, and I'm like, Tom, why on earth do you have this job? And he was like, well, it was the first one I got out of the service. I was like, yeah, but yeah, you're set up. You did this. You had this great company doing fences and dirt work and a few other construction things on the side. You had a great time doing that. I'm like, isn't that something you can fire back up again? I mean, you don't need this other job, do you? And this was before I went over to Bahrain for a year. And we were talking on his porch, and I got back from Bahrain out of the aerospace company in doing the construction jobs that he loved doing, that he was doing when he was enlisted in the Navy. And he's like, I'm so glad I transitioned. I'm in charge of my destiny. I get to say yes to jobs. I get to say no to jobs if they don't align what I need. He's like, I've got more money than I ever had working for this other company. And I'm not just completely stressed out about all of the things that have to happen. Like, I'm an aviation guy. I am not looking to get into aviation when I retire if I don't have to. I did everything I could to make sure all my bills are paid off, all my debt is gone. The only bill I have is my house, and thanks to Oklahoma City, my my house payment's only 1,100 a month. So I'm in a great position to move forward with the nonprofit architect full time, nonprofit consulting, podcast consulting to move forward with my life. But if you are saying yes to more payments, you're almost guaranteeing you have to get into some other kind of career that you just have to have because your bills are stacked up too high and your military retirement is not going to cover it.
That's true, especially for the enlisted people and also for officers. It's like, okay, what do I need to live? What's my disability? People have significant disability payments. I know one of the people in our group just got his disability rating. He says, I'm set. I can wait till I find the right job. I'm not just jumping out for the first job that comes. I'm going to get a job that will pay me what I'm worth and makes me happy when I go to work, not just 9 to 5 kind of stuff.
I'm with you. I almost want to get some BS job at like a fast food restaurant because I haven't been able to quit, to storm off, to make a big scene because you just don't do that in the military. I don't think I'm going to do it, but I want to. Part of me wants to go there till they have some ridiculous request, and so I can say, you know what, in 2 weeks you're going to notice that I ain't been here in 2 weeks. Peace, I'm leaving.
Yeah,
Just to have that, just to be in a position to have that kind of option, just I think would be funny. Is that something I'm going to do? That's not something that's not the kind of person I am, but I thought it would be, give me a little chuckle to be able to be in a position to do that. But so many of my friends, about half of them really hunkered down and focused on their TSP and paying their bills off and putting themselves in a good position. I've got a few friends that are retired just for a few years. They have paid for houses. They're going on vacations. They're having a great time. And there's a whole other side where they're just eyeballs in debt. And they bought themselves a retirement gift, which was a $60,000 truck. They have a $900 a month payment plus a big fancy house they're nowhere near paying off. And now they're almost forced to go work for some company to do a 9 to 5 for the next 20 or 30 years because they never thought about what it would look like to take the time to design what they wanted their day to look like.
I think
Matt and I,
I'm with you totally on this, Travis. What it is design the dream. Okay, what is the dream job? You've already told me what your dream job is. That I know you in just the two conversations we had, and I'm just knowing that you're going to get to that dream job, and you're not leaving the military next week either, which gives you time to prepare and do great things to meet those goals.
absolutely. I know you have your great program. And actually, in Texas, a friend of mine, Nick Valentine, they're putting together a transition program right outside of Fort Hood. They've partnered with DoD Skill Bridge. They've got something set up for the GI Bill. Those transitioning out of Fort Hood are actually anywhere from around the country will go in, go through a certified manager's course, which is
Right.
what Walmart, what Lowe's, and Home Depot, like all these major companies, what they want for their managers. You go through this course, then you go through this franchisee thing. I can't remember what it's called. It's like vets to franchise. They're gonna hear this and they're gonna call me and be like, Travis, you can't remember what our program's called. But they go through this to learn how to run a franchise. And then there's a group of veteran investors that are going to have their hands in this thing to help you get started. So they're going to put you at the end of the skill bridge program. You're going to become a manager of a franchise. It's not just restaurants. It's not just Snap-on Tools. There's 400 plus organizations they've partnered with. And the idea is to go from retiree to business owner in 4 years. Every year you're able to buy in because you can become a majority owner after 4 years. So you go from being, a retired person in the military to owning your own business within 4 years, which I think is just a fantastic program.
It's important when you have the right skills for that because not everybody's got the skill set to do that either. And so if you can find that out early enough, you know, why be saddled with one of those, franchises that doesn't work for you either.
Right. And the whole goal of the program is to get you to the point they're not going to let you finish if you're not designed for that. Not everyone's designed for that, and that's fine. But I'm just glad that so many people are out there working in the same space that you are for military transitions to bring them in. You're taught how to go to war. You're not taught how to be a civilian again.
I heard that from an old military guy. Says, you're talking about something that's just totally against the grain and everything in the military. It's like, and here's the sad part. We as taxpayers pay $500 million for one branch of the service in what they call UCX, which is unemployment benefits. They track that at every base to see how well they're doing. And they're really happy when they're lowering the payments, but it's like, guys, if you thought it from a business perspective, that you spent the money to train people properly, and you took that money from the UCX program into a better form of training or higher level of training, that would be a great thing, which is never going to happen, being honest, but that gives people like me the opportunity to help them. So every little bit, that we do at the Military Transition Roundtable um, helps people. And like I said, we're a small nonprofit, and we started in the middle of COVID. So, but we've survived through COVID. So faith and belief in ourselves. So we're in the process now of asking for some of our graduates to tell their stories so that we can go after the grants and the foundation money to get the funding to really take this to another level. And one of our desires is to help the wounded warrior. So we are in a military community with military facilities. We're having discussions with several military wounded warrior organizations like, we'll take this, but we're going to ask for donations to offset the cost for them, because we want to mainstream people into a group with other people so that, well, you're in a medical retirement program. We don't care. We just want to help you become successful when you retire. But again, the military retire program is like, I mean, the transition program needs a lot of love and a lot of help. Okay. Less emphasis on filling the squares and more emphasis on helping the military professional find what he wants to do and give him the opportunities to be successful.
Oh, absolutely. So, I mean, today we talked about three simple things you can do to make your LinkedIn pop. That's the warm profile photo, adjusting that banner photo so you can make sure you can read it on mobile, rewriting your about summary to cover the what and why of your mission, your goals, your call to action, and throwing your skills at the bottom. We covered the military transition roundtable, what that looks like, how to get that set up, how that's going to help you. And Matt, tell us how to get involved in that. And I understand you have a special offer for the
So if you're
nonprofit
interested in
folks
learning more
listening in
about the
today.
Military Transition Roundtable, it's pretty easy to find us. We're at militarytransitionroundtable.com. You can look me up. Now, I've made my profile just a little bit different because there are a lot of Matt Shears in the world. So my given name is David Matthew, and the only Catholic nuns than my wife, and she's really, really mad at me, can call me David Matthew. So it's D Matt Scherer, Scherer. That's how you can find me. I will reach out and say, hey, I heard you on this podcast. I'd love to know more. I'll reach out to you. I would like to talk about a program that I'm working with. So I'm just finished the third edition of the LinkedIn book, and now a friend of mine named Jeff out of Montreal has asked me to put together a course that helps people go from nothing to something within a day. So when I'm coaching people in a traditional way, it usually takes me 4 to 6 weeks for them to get to the profile they need to be successful. But imagine that you could take this course and have all the basic pieces done and have a profile in place within 2 hours. So still kicking the tires on this. But what I'm looking for is a nonprofit that services military professionals in transition. If you'll reach out to me, I will send to you uh, the information on the course, and I will explain why we're offering it for free. Because where we're going to make our money is when the guy says, well, I really would like a great banner. Well, we can sell you that banner for a reasonable price, or you really want to make a better about section, we can work with you on that. We can provide you the templates. But the basic thing is to get the profile in place and get it functional and working well so that people will notice you in this crowded world of information overload.
That's fantastic, Matt. Hey, thanks so much for being my guest today and providing nothing but value from start to
Thank you so
finish.
much. We've been on for an hour. I just looked at the clock. Thank you so much for the opportunity to do that. Again, I'll drop my comments when you're ready to cut. I've really enjoyed the opportunity to be with you today, Travis. And Travis, know that if you're ever in San Antonio, that I will take you to the greatest breakfast tacos in the state of Texas. Do not let the folks in Austin tell you they have breakfast tacos. They do not. The best ones are made in San Antonio. I know where they exist. Okay.
I'm not really a hunter because I don't know where I can actually find tacos to hunt out in the wild. But if I can go to San Antonio and get a great taco, I'm gonna look you up.
I'm looking forward to that conversation, my friend. I hope that I may be driving your ways after COVID gets a little lesser, I'm looking to go visit some people in various parts of the world. But and of course, if somebody in the Oklahoma City Military Affairs Council wants to hire me to come up and do a 1-day workshop with you, Travis, so you can help people in transition, I'm down with that. I would love nothing better than go to OKC and do that.
Sounds great, Matt. Hey, thanks a lot again for being on the show today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.